हम्म? कौन? हाँ अच्छा
In other words, the dices and interventions are uneven.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Can you people put on your cameras? Thank you. Hey, Param, how are you doing? Hi, Shashank.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Hi, Joseph. Guys, come on camera, please, quickly. Hey, Arindam.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Hi, Vedansh. So, guys, before I begin, I would love to understand what do people know about CAT?
Nothing, ma'am.
Wow, that's wonderful. Shashank, what is CAT?
For MBA.
Okay.
Common admission test.
Common admission test. Wow, that's what I was looking for, right? Has any of you taken the exam early, or is this the very first attempt of every one of you? Anyone has taken exam earlier? Anyone who appeared for it? No? Right. So what we people know about CAT? What bothers you in CAT? Does anything bother? Have you taken anything? You have practiced something? What is VARC? Any clue?
Verbal ability and reading comprehension.
So what is verbal ability? What exactly is verbal ability then? Shibli, Samreen, please put on your cameras. So Himanshu, what do you know about this CAT?
Ma'am, it contains 3 sections and VRC, DLR and QA, of which I face the most difficult section is VRC.
Seriously, it is the most difficult?
For me.
For you, okay, then it's fine.
Yeah.
For others, it is not. Yes?
It may be.
It may be. What is so difficult you find, Himanshu, in VRC? What is so difficult about VRC?
I can't figure the right answers. Means I can delete the 2 options in RCs, but of other 2, I can't judge the right answer.
Okay. Somebody is unmuted, please mute. Rishi Jain, please mute. Rishi Jain, please mute. Yeah. So you're saying that in RCs you can read the passage and you can eliminate 2 options, but remaining 2 you get confused with.
Yes.
Vedansh is saying, what is Vedansh saying? Vedansh can't be unmute. Accuracy is being at the hindrance. At none of my MCATs, my accuracy crosses 60% benchmark. What do you think holds you, Vedansh? How about others? All right. How about others? Anyone else who has taken a mock test knows where you lag? Joseph?
Yeah, ma'am, I feel that once we take the mock test, we would feel pretty comfortable writing the test. Like once we read the RC, maybe we feel this is the right answer. But once the results come, once we analyze the mock, we'll find out that, okay, there's also this kind of way that the author can go through. So it's not what we think exactly. There are different aspects to how an answer could come out.
All right.
You get my point.
So basic thing. What goes wrong with RCs? Have you ever tried to understand what goes wrong with the RC?
Sometimes we are not familiar with the topic, so so that's why we are very afraid to answer the questions.
If you are not familiar with the topic, why should you be afraid to answer?
So it takes a lot of time to understand the basic terms of that passage also. So we face the problems.
Okay. Vedant is saying managing time and choosing the correct RC. So, I mean, people, if you're not talking, kindly unmute, kindly mute yourself, sorry. So the whole idea is this, when we are going through this training, is one, how to read an RC, what to do, what not to do. I hope all of us know that we are not supposed to do the whole of the test, right? We are supposed to leave some parts. Do we leave that or we attempt the full exam? How do we go? We should do all the 100%, right? To get the maximum marks. Yes, Arinda?
Ma'am, I haven't given mock yet, so
So no comments.
no.
Okay. No, we don't say like that. We say, I would like to reserve my comment on this. Eben, we should do the whole exam. Is that so?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Why shouldn't we do
could
it?
do just the 50% of the paper with full accuracy. It may lead us to somewhere around 95% and above.
Okay. So how do we identify that I should do 60% of the paper? Not 70 or not 50 or what? Why this calculation?
Ma'am, in the previous papers, in the previous year papers, by analyzing them, we could easily figure out that the level of the VARC has risen. So according to that, it is very essential to pick the right RC and with accuracy you are solving.
Okay, so how do I identify which one is the best RC I should do and I should not do? And how to get my answer?
As there are 4 RC, so not all the 4 RC are hard. The level of difficulty varies. Like some would be medium or moderate range. Like some would be difficult ones. So we have to read all the 4 RC and pick up very fastly, like skimming technique or like scanning the RCs in fast. So like that.
So if you do fast, Vedant, everything you do fast, your answers would be very fast. How would you get accuracy?
No, ma'am. My take is like to choose the perfect RC. Whenever we read any RC, so we find it comfortable or not.
In teaching, I know I'll take it, don't worry. But you try to join me. Turn around just to see whether she's up to the mark or not. Ashish ka feedback.
Yeah.
Ma'am, whenever we read RC, after reading RC, we find ourselves like whether it is comfortable with us, like the topic is comfortable with us or not. So after reading the RC, we may come across like the or we can also see the questions that have been asked in the RC. So by reading them and by judging that this RC would be this RC should be picked for the solving, or we should leave it.
All right. So what happens when we take CAT? First thing that we all have to understand, we are not supposed to attempt the whole exam, right? I hope each of us know that there is negative marking. How much negative marking is there? How much?
+3 -1.
So negative marking is 1/3.
Yes,
right? So if there is negative marking, we all need to understand that, yes, we should not at least incur that, right? So try to do what you know. Today, I'm going to discuss a couple of things about VARC, how difficult a passage could be, how to probably read a passage, right? And then how to eliminate options. So we may try with this passage, and then we can see how things work on CAT and other exams, right? I am sharing my screen. Guys, let me know when it's visible to all of you.
Yes, ma'am, screen is visible.
Is it sharing? Yes, is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, we are able to see.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, people. So, so today we are going to discuss about how to simplify VARCs, right? Because it is one of the most challenging sections that people come across. Though I believe VARC is one of the easiest section on CAT, normally people are, baffled by QA or LRDI. So VARC is normally easier as compared to others, right? We are starting the batch from Monday. I mean, you can go ahead and inquire for the things, right? These are our last course, right? And if you see, these are the best scores that we have got, right? Around 10% of our students score 99.5 percentile, right? Around 28 scored 98 percentile. So the scores have been quite substantial, right? What we provide you live sessions with revision, right? We provide you all the recordings. You can connect any of your mentors 24/7, and we believe in personal mentorship, right? So you have the packages here. If you take QA, LRDI, VRC, you can take advanced revision workshops, marathon events, and personal mentorship. All in all, this package is of 32500, and you can avail the discounts, right? Now, today we are going to discuss what all comes on CAT. So what do we get on CAT? These are the 5 major topics that you get on CAT. So can anyone help me? What exactly is a para-jumble? We all know what is reading comprehension. What is a reading comprehension? What is a reading comprehension, people?
So we get a passage and we're supposed to answer questions based
Right,
on
so
the
we get a passage and the questions, right? So you read the passage, get the questions done. That is reading comprehension. What is para-jumble? You all know that, right? What is
We get
para-jumble?
we get a group of sentence and we have to rearrange them.
So it's like arranging sentences into paragraphs, right? In paragraph. Para completion, you get a paragraph and the last sentence is normally a blank, right? We are supposed to complete the paragraph. Okay, so you have to fill the blank from the options. Para summary, you get a paragraph and you have to pick up the best summary, right? You have to pick an option which gives you the best one, best summary, right? And then you have odd one out. What does odd one out means? And do we get odd one outs in English? How do we get it? We get 3 sentences related to a topic. One may be different in one or the other form. So that is how odd one out is placed on the test. If you've seen the pattern of CAT, majorly RC dominates CAT, right? From remaining, you get different types of questions. For instance, when I look at the CAT, which was 3 years back, we used to get 34 questions on VRC, wherein majorly 24 questions range from here. Somebody's. People, please mute yourself. Please mute. Right. Remaining, we get 10 questions, right? Now the current pattern also, we get 16 questions from here and 6 to 8 questions from here, right? So majorly, if you see the test, RC will dominate. Now, what exactly goes wrong in RC? Do you people understand what goes wrong in RC? Yeah? Any clue? What may go wrong in RC?
It could be that when you assume something and it's not specific to the passage, like
Right.
the passage.
Right. Do not come here. Right? All right. So we'll be starting with the RCs today. Let me just clear the screen. I don't know what's going on. Right. So if you see what exactly is RC, in RC they are checking how much can we comprehend or how much can we understand the written text. While what happens is that sometimes we misunderstand. Why does it happen? Let's say I give the same passage to people from different backgrounds. One passage is given to a science student, the same passage is given to a humanities student. So while understanding, they create parallels from their own field. And as a consequence, what happens is that when we create parallels, we understand it differently, right? What we need to understand here is that whatever is written in the passage is our Bible. So we do not have chances to misunderstand. We have to refer back and identify what is mentioned, right? Because misunderstanding is dangerous, be it your work, right? When you go to meetings, you go to write mails, right? You need to be very accurate in comprehending. So if you go wrong there, right? Everything that is written for your work also, it goes haywire. What we need to comprehend here is that whatever is written is our Bible, and we have to identify answers from that text. And how should we work on that? This is what we are going to work on. Okay. Now let's move ahead and understand some basics of RCs. What happens when we do RCs? When we do RCs, a student or a reader should be open-minded. There was once upon a time, there was a student of, BTech, and he got a passage from physics. He was very keen on physics, he loves physics. When he got the topic, he was so excited that he didn't even read the passage. He find that, okay, this is something which I know quite well, and he right away moved to questions, which turned out to be suicidal because the passage was written from a very different perspective, right? So while reading a passage or while getting a passage, I should always understand what the author wants to state. I should not have any assumptions of mine, right? So we have to be completely open-minded while reading anything, right? Moreover, while doing the questions, we need to understand what is there. For instance, when I say, let's have a, scenario. If I say, one night I was traveling to my farm, and there was traveling to an isolated road. I couldn't find anyone around, so I was quite happy, going happy with my long drive, isolated. And then out of blue, my car broke down. At such an isolated place, I couldn't expect any help. So I started walking towards my farm. I felt there was some footsteps behind me. I started rushing. I moved faster. I could still feel something behind me. I rushed and reached my farmhouse finally. I struggled to find my keys. I couldn't. When I found my keys, I just opened the door and I found there was I was standing in a pool of blood, right? So if you understand what is happening in this scenario, the first part was not giving us anything, right? The second part was showing us some murder. So we need to understand, what all things are required versus what all things are not required. So we should weed out what is not there, right? Another important thing that we should learn while doing RCs, that if I'm unable to solve a question, let's leave it. I cannot be adamant to solve a question. I hope it's clear. We can move ahead, guys.
Yes.
Thank you, people. Right. The next thing that we need to understand, while doing RCs, it's not a one-day game, right? So once you start with RCs, you may face problem that, okay, I'm not meeting the time, right? I get the accuracy, but I'm not managing the time. I am getting the passages on time, but sometimes when I do it on time, the accuracy, goes for a toss. So what we need to understand, we need to maintain our cool. The first thing that we need to understand, we practice non-timed RCs. so that once you get the accuracy, then you can take a call on, yes, I can move ahead with the timed RCs, right? So the first thing that you need to comprehend and understand in this situation, when we do RCs, the first and foremost thing is to practice non-timed RCs to get the confidence that, yes, I do have the accuracy. Then you start practicing RCs, putting timer on that, understanding how much time are you taking, and gradually reducing the timings. And most importantly, as we were discussing which RC to pick and what questions to be addressed first. Because a person cannot be good at everything. Maybe Joseph is very good at philosophical passage, but Vedanta is not, right? So what we do, we need to understand what we are good at, and based on that, we strategize our exam. No one is gonna write all the questions and all the RCs. Maybe you do 4 RCs, still leave 2-3 questions from there. Maybe you do all the 5 RCs and still leave 7 questions from there, right? For everyone, the strategy has to be different, cannot be same for everyone, right? So it has to be monitored accordingly. What are you good at? Which type of RCs you are very good at? Which types of RCs you are not good at all? So these things, once we identify, then we work it out, right? Today, you need to understand that when we do RCs, we have to read. First and foremost thing, people do not have reading skills in India. They're very bad at it. So we suggest that, okay, start reading at least. Okay, mark down the difficult words, note them down, or rather, what you can do when you get a difficult word, understand from the context, what could it probably mean? And then note it down. After doing the passage completely or the article completely, then you can cross-check with your dictionary that, yes, is it matching or is it not? Because on exam, you would not get dictionaries, right? Moreover, when you are learning, when you are practicing, we always keep error logs. What are error logs? So you keep record of those questions, right, which are going wrong. What have you learned from them? How to do it next time and how to improve the skills, right? This is what we prefer, okay? We need to read some books, some newspapers. So at least start reading NY Times, Hindu, Economic Times for your reference. That helps a lot. Today, I am gonna discuss how to solve a passage. But before I begin, I'm giving you a passage. Kindly read through it, attempt 5 questions, and then we'll discuss how to go ahead with it. Is it fine with all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we move? All right. I hope
Yes,
the passage is visible. Yeah. Now, this is a cat passage. Let me know when I have to move to the questions. Kindly go through the passage quickly. Let me know when you people are done. Shall we move to questions then?
1 minute only.
All right.
Done.
Right. So I'm moving to the questions, people. I hope everyone is through.
Just the last pair.
All right. Are we good to go?
Yes.
Right. This is the first question, people. Anyone who wants to refer back is most welcome. That's okay. Shall we move? Done. Shall we move? All right. Look at the next question. Moving to third question, people. I hope each of you are done. Question number 3. Shall I move to the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
Question number 4. Shall we move? Last question. I believe everyone has answers. Yes? Let's look at question number 1. What should be the answer to first question and why? Samreen?
Ma'am, I think C is the answer.
Param, you think C is the answer?
Yes, I think C is the answer.
And why is it so?
Representational art is simply putting what you can see on the canvas. So
Okay.
it's simple, people can relate to it.
It's simple, people can relate to it. Does the passage say so?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Somewhere, ma'am, it was written that people feel more comfortable with something that can relate and understand immediately.
Okay. And it does not talk about option B. Does it? The passage doesn't talk about option B.
I didn't select option B because it talks about sympathy. So
Mhm.
that confused me. Otherwise, it does say, I mean, clicking tongues and shaking their head means maybe it confuses them. So, but the word sympathy confused me here.
All right, let's look at the question. The question says the author believes that people feel comfortable with representational art. But does it talk about this in the passage? Any clue? The passage is in front of you. Why do people feel comfortable with representational art? Where does it
Ma'am,
talk?
first para, fourth, second, from the fourth line, below the fourth line, sorry.
Below the fourth line. So what does it say there? They click
Yes,
their
ma'am.
tongues and shake their hands and wander in grid work, declaring that poor guy played too many Scrabble games. Right?
Ma'am,
Silently
I
shake
was saying the first para and from bottom fourth line.
first para from bottom fourth line. All right. So from bottom, is this the one we are talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
So people feel more comfortable with something they can relate to and understand immediately without too much thought. This is the case with work of transfers. When I come across this question, frankly speaking, option A, option D is easy elimination. Similarly, option E, right? Because he doesn't say that Guernica does not have any point, or they are not engulfed in brightly colored panels. What is the difference between option B and C? Yes?
Ma'am,
Vedant?
option B.
Yeah, Arindam, please continue.
Yeah, option B indicates their action, which can be different for different people. But option C indicates their point of view or their understanding, which is almost equal for everyone. So I think C is the most probable answer.
All right, but why can't I think of B? It says they do not have to click their tongues and shake their heads in sympathy. What is wrong with this?
Ma'am, maybe when I see such arts, I don't feel sympathy. I feel disinterested. My feelings may be different from them.
Arindam, look from passage perspective, from author's perspective. What did author say? Yeah, what did author say here? Author stated very clearly that the first part, if you look at this, they click their tongues and shake their heads and wander in straight words. So what is the problem there? He was talking about abstract art over there, right? That they can't relate to. So this is the opposite of abstract art, if I'm not wrong. Yes?
Yes,
It is opposite of abstract, while this relates directly to this. Had I did not have this option, I might have thought of this. But since this is a direct option, I would prefer this, right? Option B has a problem because we are not talking about, what they do not, or how are they comparing the representational art versus abstract art. Here, the question relates only to representational, and the passage states very clearly they feel comfortable with something that they understand immediately without too much thought. I hope it's clear. Answer is C. Yeah? Shall we move?
Yes, ma'am.
Question number 2. In author's opinion, Picasso's Guernica created a strong demand for justice. And the last word is here since. Sorry, I don't know why, how it got removed. This is since. Okay. It has to be since over here. So what should be the answer here and why?
Ma'am, E.
You believe it should be E. Shashank, you messaged B. Rohit, B. Lisha, C. Can you people explain? How are we moving? How are we getting this answer? I've got B, C, E, all three of them.
Ma'am, first of all, for C, reason for C, it's because it depicts terror and suffering of the victim in a distorted manner, which is true because it is indicated in a sentence, I think, in fourth or third para. Okay. And the D part is also mentioned because and it's real because Picasso painted.
I can't hear you. Picasso painted.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So the D option, in which it is written that it was a mature work of Picasso painted when the artist's drafting skill were excellent. Ma'am, it is also true because it is also mentioned in some form in fourth para or third para. I don't remember. And
but
it is,
you feel it was there. You feel it was there.
Yes, ma'am. I feel it is C and D.
You feel it is C and D. Lisha?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Why not D? You said only C.
I think in the second part of the option B, that is painted when the artist's drafting skill were excellent. Here it is the
Yes.
use of bold word, but we are
Mhm.
not seeing boldness in the passage. In the fourth para, since it has depicted the terror and suffering of the victim in a distorted manner, but
Mhm.
we can't say that an extreme word should be used here. So I feel that D should be discarded. C would
Okay.
be the better.
Okay. Rohit, Shashank, why B?
Ma'am, in the passage, it was somewhere written that Picasso was able to, depict the uh, emotional side of the emotional side of the scenario very well with his paintings, with his.
Right.
So I thought that C and D were somehow inculcated in option B. So
Okay.
that's why I thought B option was more suited, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Right. So what should be the final answer then? I've got B, C, E. I mean, everything is there in the passage then, except option A. When you come across any question, the first and foremost thing that you have to understand that this has to come from within the passage. I cannot feel that this option to be correct. I was surprised when you people didn't ask me to refer back to passage. You people were doing it on your own. You could have asked me. I gave you that luxury to ask, okay, I want to go back to the passage. When I look at this question, where does the passage talks about Guernica as such? Does it talk about Guernica? Where does it talk about Guernica?
Third para.
Third para?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What does it say about Guernica here? Guernica was meant as a protest against bombing of that city by Germans. To express terror and suffering of victims more vividly, what he did? He distorted the figures and presented them in a black and white journalistic manner. Right? This is what he has done. Then the next sentence is, if he had used representational images in color, much of the emotional content would have been lost, and the piece would not have caused the demand for justice that it did. I hope we don't have much beyond that. Yes? So what all things are discussed over here? One, it was meant for a protest. Two, to show the sufferings, he distorted the figures and presented them in black and white, right? And he did not use representational because else it would lose the emotional content. Now, if I go back to the question, which one do you think is the best answer and why? Arindam?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it talk about artist drafting skills to be excellent there?
Yes, ma'am. On the first or second sentence, it is written that Picasso's skills were excellent.
Where does it say?
Just above the Guernica sentence, many abstract artists such as Picasso are excellent draftsmen.
They are excellent draftsmen. But if you look at this question, it says it was a mature work of Picasso, painted when his the skills were excellent. Is this information given? That he painted it only when his skills were good. Does it discuss that?
No, ma'am.
So this is called a confusing option. Why? Because everything is mentioned, but the option does not relate to the content the way it is given to us. Right? So when D goes out, I believe E also goes out. Yes, people? Out of A, B, C, which one do you think should be the answer and why?
I think, ma'am, the answer would still be B, because the question asks for what created the strong demand. Even though the painting talks about it was a protest, even though it depicts the terror and suffering, but what created the strong demand was because Picasso managed to express the emotional content. He touched the emotional part of the humans.
Okay. What else? So it doesn't depict the terror and suffering.
It does, but the strong demand was created because of the B option.
All right. And what about option A?
No, that's what I said. A and C would be right, but if they were,
But we
if
have
they were
to
not
mark
talking
only
about
one. We have to
this,
mark
then I
only
would,
one.
yeah, I'm going with B. I'm going with
Going
B.
with B. All right. Lisha,
Yeah.
still with C?
Yes, ma'am, I'm still with C.
You're still with C. Should we take option A into consideration? It was a protest against this German bombing of Guernica.
Option
Ma'am,
A
I
is
don't think so.
just
Yes,
option is
Joseph.
just to show the painting, right? Option A is just the reason for the painting, that is because they
Right.
do the
Why he
painting to show as a
painted.
protest.
Right.
Why he painted? It does
Why
not
he
create a
painted.
strong demand.
Right.
Yes.
It just shows why he painted, but it doesn't show why it created demand. So I'm left with option B and C to be more precise. And when I get confused, what should I do?
Refer again. the passage.
Refer again. Right? As simple as that. So now go back, read it again. What does it say? And read it more carefully, Param. I'm not saying B is not the answer. I'm just saying read it carefully, because from here you have to identify the answer. Guernica was meant as a protest against bombing of that city by Germans, to express the terror and sufferings of victims more vividly. Understand what does it say? To express the terror and sufferings of victims more vividly, he distorted the figures and presented them in black and white. Right? So what he has done to create the justice, to show the terror?
He distorted the figure.
He distorted. That is, he has done. The other part is what he has not done. Right? Again, it is saying if he has used representational images in color, much of the emotional content would have been lost, and peace would not have caused the demand for justice that it did. So why did this piece cause the demand for justice? Because it has abstract art, one, it distorted the figure, and it was given in black and white. Right? Am I clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if you see, he managed to express, I hate this word because it doesn't come in the context of it. He didn't manage. He thrived in it, right? To express emotional content well, again, this word is a problem with his abstract depiction. It was not his depiction. He rather show the victims in distorted manner to show that, yes, there was such a huge problem. So answer should be C. Is the idea clear? Do people have any doubts? Lisha, Manu, Joseph, anyone?
No, ma'am. No.
Sure, ma'am. Perfect. Let's move ahead with question 3. Manu, you have doubts?
No, it is clear.
Perfect. All right. Let's look at question 3. The author argues that many people look down upon abstract art because they feel that. What do they feel? What should be the answer here? Param D, Lisha E, Joseph E.
It was D. My answer was D.
D, Delhi, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. What about others? Shashank, Arindam, Shibli.
Ma'am, I think D is the answer.
Anji, I didn't get you.
Ma'am, I think D is the answer.
And why D should be the answer?
Ma'am, because abstractionists compose irrationally because people were not able to understand what they painted or what they presented in their canvases.
Mm-hmm. Most of the people are marking D, E, D, E, D, D, all right. Okay. So why not E?
Because ma'am, option number A, I don't remember seeing any concrete sentence in the para which describes that modern art does not portray what is ideal and real. So I eliminated option A. Now remains B and C.
Right.
And B and C both are, I think both are indicated in some para or another. So D is the logical answer for me. I don't know about others.
All right. Okay. Param, D? Okay, good. Lisha?
Yeah.
D
Yes,
again?
ma'am.
E.
No, ma'am, I'm actually a little bit confused about D and E, but I'll go with E. Because B and C has already been mentioned in the paragraph, and we can infer a little bit about option A from the paragraph reading the paras itself, means RC itself. So I can go with E. But there is still a little bit confusion.
So should we do this question when there's so much of, confusion?
No,
in
ma'am,
this?
I don't think so that, no, ma'am, I don't think so that we should attempt such a question if there's confusion.
So this is a question which is meant to be left?
Yes, ma'am, for me, it is a question that is meant to be left.
People, let me tell you one thing very clearly. This is a moderate level passage. With moderate level questions, nothing has been so difficult. Right? I did not identify a difficult passage with difficult questions. These all are moderate level questions. So none of the questions is supposed to be left in this passage. Now let's look at this. The author argues that many people look down upon abstract art because they feel, where does it talk about? Why do people look down on abstract art? Move to paragraph
Second
2.
paragraph.
They feel that artists turn abstract. Why they turn abstract? Because they're not capable of technical drafting skills. Given? Yes? Secondly, they feel the purpose of art is to create something of a beauty in an orderly, logical composition. Can you see this? Beauty in orderly, logical composition. But these paintings were irrational, right? Am I clear? And the last one.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it says, finally. So there are three things discussed here, right? And what does it say? Many people feel that art should portray the ideal and real. The exactness of details in his work is an example of this. He has been called a great historian because his pieces depict the lifestyle, dress, event of the times. His subject matter is derived from his own experience on the trial and reproduced to the smallest detail. So what they want is the exact things mentioned over there. You know, whatever life they have lived through, whatever sort of dresses they wear, right? So what they're looking for, exact representation. They're looking for ideal and real. But the problem is with these abstract artists are, one, the technical skills, two, irrational, and second, they have their own opinion, right? Can we identify what should be the answer now?
Ma'am, I think it's E now.
It's E?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So when I say modern abstract art does not replay what is ideal and real, that is the final point mentioned. They're unskilled in the matters of technical drafting. That was the first point. And this was the second point. So all three of them were mentioned. So answer is optional, right? So if you understand, this is a passage which is a must attempt. It just requires referring back to passage again, reading it carefully over there, and getting your answer. Yes? Look at question number 4, please. Question number 4. The author acknowledges that Mondrian's pieces may have ended up looking like a Scrabble board because Because
Ma'am, I think it's option C because it has been written in the paragraph number 3rd, in the last sentence of paragraph 2.
it's
We can
mentioned.
enter from there itself.
All right.
Yes,
Lisha.
ma'am. I think in the last.
Okay. Okay. So everyone is saying C. It comes like a unanimous answer. Shashank, would you mind solving this for me? How to eliminate other options?
Ma'am, like it's a very straightaway answer. All the points were already in the passage.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, of para 4.
Okay.
Where Montaigne was compared with some other artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other one was a representational one, but Montaigne was no, the other one was abstract painter,
All
and
right.
Montaigne was a representational painter. So there was a contrast made there, and this option C was explicitly written there.
Explicitly written over there. Right. So this is a question which is clearly mentioned here. Where can we see? Where are we talking about
The
Montaigne?
last sentence of the 3rd paragraph.
Last sentence of 3rd paragraph. For example, through his work, Montaigne was trying to represent a system of simplicity, logic, rational order. Right? As a result, his pieces looked like Scrabble board. So this was a very straight question, right? And the answer is option C. Last question. The main difference between abstract artist and the representational artist in the matter of ideal and real, according to author, is Joseph said A. Okay. No one else attempted it? Lisha A, Abin A, okay. Mridul, all right. Mridul, how to reach A? Why can't we options B?
Ma'am, because there we can eliminate B because there is no comparison as such mentioned in the passage.
But this thing is given. How each chooses to deal with reality.
Yes, ma'am. There is a mention in the passage.
How about option D, Param?
Sorry, are you asking about option D?
Yes, I'm
What was
asking
your
about
question
option
again?
D. I'm saying why not option D? When you say A, why not option D? What is wrong with option D?
Because in the passage, they clearly mentioned that both abstract artists and representational artists both have very good drafting skills. And just the way they portray their art is different.
And where do they say that? Where does the passage state that?
I don't know, we'll have to find. I remember reading something like this, that both of them have drafting skills.
All right. Well, let's look at this. This is a very simple question again. Look at the last sentence, last paragraph. A cycle of abstract and representational art began with the first scratching of prehistoric man. From the abstractions of ancient Egypt. This was the one. Yes. But then there is no need to reproduce. Sorry, that was the second last paragraph. Miro created powerful surrealistic images from demons subconscious. These artists were trying to evoke a response from society through an expressionistic manner. Finally, abstract artists and representational artists maintain different ideas about reality. So they both deal with reality, right? But they maintain different ideas about reality. To the representational artist, reality is what he sees with his eyes. This is the reality he reproduces on canvas. To the abstract artist, reality is what he feels about what his eyes see. So, you know, it's basically talking about that they're talking about the same reality, but one is talking about what they are seeing it, other is talking about what they feel about it, right? And if I look at the options, We are not talking about drafting skills or logical thinking. Similarly, values are not being discussed over here. Superiority of interpretation, that is again out of context because it's not being discussed, but it is choosing how are they dealing with the reality. I hope it is sorted. Any hassles in the passage? This is a passage which should ideally be attempted with all the 5 questions and getting all the 5 questions correct. It just requires a thorough reading and careful referring back, right? We also get para jumbles on the exam. I hope you all know that. Shall we try one?
Yes.
We all know that we don't get answer choices for this, right? This is something wherein this is called theta question. So you type in the answer, and then if your answer is correct, you're given marks. But if your answer is incorrect, then you're not penalized for the same. Okay, let's quickly go through this. Try solving it. Are we done, people?
No, ma'am, just a minute, please.
Take your time. C, D, B, A, E. Shashank, can you help explaining these? How do you reach answer?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, in the first option, it's talking about squatters and Kikuyu. So, like, first we should know that what are squatters and who are the Kikuyus. So, option C talks about the squatters. Like the squatters are natives who, with their families, hold a few acres. So, yeah, it gives a proper description of who these people are. Then 1 minute. Then CD, yeah. And then after squatters they are Kikuyus. So option D talks about the Kikuyus. The Kikuyu also grow the sweet potatoes. And then it talks about the like squatters lands. So B, so C, D, B are related. So they have to be in like in a sequence.
Okay.
And then option A, like I had 6,000 acres of land. So I is some like the author.
Okay.
So and the queues and the squatters are already discussed about. So A should come uh, after the previous sequence, and E is somewhat like unrelated.
It's not
So ma'am,
related with anything, right?
yeah, ma'am, like it talks about beans and the woman who thrashed them. So it should be in the last, like it's the only option left, so it should be last.
So when anything
That's
is
how I
left, does it mean, Shashank, it has to come in the end? It can't come
no, ma'am,
anywhere
it
else?
not necessarily.
Then?
Like I was not able to fit it anywhere in between, so so that's why I fit it in the last.
All right.
Like it's not the opening sentence. That's sure.
Okay.
So that's why it can be the last one.
It can be the last one. So it's like a guess, right?
Yes, partial guess, but some sequences I tried to make.
All right. Arindam? Arindam?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you reach A, C, B, E, D?
Ma'am, first we will compare A and C. And in C, it is written in the last line that they are very likely regarded me. So without any context, we cannot consider this sentence as the first one,
right?
Because there are me here. So say, ma'am, A should always come before C. So AC is the first sequence I came about.
Okay.
And second pair of sequence is E and B. Because in B, it is written that the maize and stalks and coffee are collected and burned. And in B, it is written that the maize grew up high up there. And it is written about maize. So B, then E. And the only option that remains is D. So in my, it should be A, C, B, E, D, because D is not related to any of the four. It's related, but not completely related. So D comes last. So A, C, B, E, D.
So D should come last.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not related with anything.
It's not related with the rest of the things. It is related because it is talking about the QQ, but it is not related by the other options.
All right. Anyone else who has solved it?
Yes, ma'am. It's a sequence A, C, D, E, D.
And why should
it should come first? Ma'am, the same reason as previous one. Like in C, it has been written at me as a sort of superior squatters on their estates, and there it has in the A it has been mentioned I. So we can sync A and C, and then we can go to the option B, where it has been written the maize grew up higher, and in option number E, it has been mentioned about the maize stalked and coffee pods were collected and burned.
Right.
And then in the last option, the Q also grew the sweet potatoes. Here the use of also is given. So I thought that it should come after the squatters land. Means what squatters are growing, and then it is given that what Q are growing, like they are growing sweet potato or anything else. So I feel like the sequence should go like A, C, B, E, and then D. D should come last.
Okay. Anyone else who has solved it? Great. Since no one has solved it, let me do it. Okay, let's do this. I had 6,000 acres of land and had thus got much spare land besides coffee plantation. Part of the farm was native forest and about 1,000 acres was squatters' land. What Kikuyu called their chambas. What is happening here? He's describing Normally, the sentences which are describing are the first sentences, right? But still, we are not going to take it blindly like that. So let's keep it. I don't know where to place it, but I will keep it. Then it says squatters' land was more intensely alive than the rest of farm and was changing with the season the year around. The maize grew up higher than your head as you walked on the narrow, had trampled footpaths in between the tall, green, rustling regiments. What I know after reading this, wherever A would be there, B would come after it. I don't know where is exactly, but B should come later than that, somewhere. Yes? Then it says squatters are natives. Who are these natives? When would I describe that squatters are natives? Who with their families hold a few acres on a white man's farm and in return have to work for him a certain number of days in the year. My squatters. Who squatters? My. Now from my squatters, I understand. This is my squatter. So A and C should come in sync. Am I clear? I think this relationship in a different light. Many of them were born on the farm and their fathers before them. And they very likely regarded me as a sort of superior squatter on their estates, right? So he's talking about his relationship. So I feel that C should be followed by A, right? B should be somewhere later, but where exactly, we don't know. Option D, the Kikuyu also grows sweet potatoes. So before it, we should always refer that what else has been, grown on the, cultivated on the field. That have a vine-like leaves spread over the ground, like a dense entangled mat, and many varieties of big yellow and green speckled pumpkins. The beans ripened in the field were gathered, thrashed by women. So beans is something which should be earlier. So E should come earlier and D should come later. But I'm confused whether to place D here or here. Where should it be placed and why? Why can't I say A, C, E, D, B? Why D has to be towards end? Yes, Param, any idea? Mridul?
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, why should E come before B?
Good question, because in E it says the beans ripened. So when I say the Kikuyu also grew sweet potatoes, right?
No, ma'am. I am asking why should E come before B? Option B.
Okay. If you look at B, it says the maize grew up higher on the head. Where is the other reference to maize? Do we have another reference to maize?
No, ma'am.
Right? If you look at this, it's talking about in the field you have beans. They were gathered, thrashed by women, and the maize stalks. Right? So you have a reference of maize. Right?
Oh, ma'am. Got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Right. But where should I place D? Why it can't be placed before B? Why should be placed after D? Any idea?
Because it's also written also, the word also. So there must be something before it. And
so D cannot be placed over here because E and B both talk about maize. It is continuation of the same idea. So when there is a continuation of the same idea, we don't break the same. Answer is ACEBT. Right? Any hassles? Any
And why
hassles?
did we? How did we ascertain that E should come after C?
A should come before C, dear.
No, sorry. C. Why should E come after C?
What does C talk about?
It talks about squatters. It talks about
What is land, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when we're talking about squatters and squatters' land, just a second. Sorry, I made a mistake over here. Sorry, I mentioned it at wrong place. It should be here. Because there should be maize first and then there should be maize stalks. Yeah, both have reference to maize, but here you should have maize first, the maize grew higher, and then here they talk about the maize stalks. The females were working on maize stalks. Sorry. Okay. And this is what we do. We Shubham sir would be giving the personal mentorship. All the live sessions would be provided to you and everything would be provided, right? The batch size would be 40 students. I hope each of you know that, right? And these are some of our feedbacks. If anyone has any issues with the things, you want to understand something which we are left with, any doubts, any concerns? No?
Just one question. So the regular classes will start in July, or will this be a continuous session every Saturday?
So we'll be starting it next week from Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other concerns?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dan. Nice meeting you all. See you then in the
Thank you, ma'am.
classes. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.